class, we will be reading The Day the Towers Fell, America is Under Attack. A bright morning sun lit a cloudless blue sky. America started its day. Highways filled with traffic, railroads rumbled with trains, airports roared with jetliners. Among the hundreds of planes rising into the flawless blue sky were two from Boston, one from Newark, New Jersey, and one from Washington, D.C. Among their ordinary passengers were 19 deadly men. They were followers of Osama bin Laden, leader of an organization known as Al-Qaeda. The group hated America's power and influence. Bin Laden promised violence against America. The 19 men had pledged their lives to fulfill that threat. At 8 a.m. on September 11, 2001, they acted. With knives, pepper spray, and threats of bombs, they stormed the four airliner cockpits and wrestled control away from the pilots. The jets were no longer just ordinary airplanes, they were weapons. The planes blinked away from their planned flight paths and headed for their targets. One of the planes, a flight attendant, managed to alert the ground authorities to the hijacking. She reported, "Something is wrong. We are flying very, very low." Before them loomed the World Trade Center on the lower tip of New York's Manhattan Island. Each skyscraping tower was just over 1,300 feet tall and boasted 110 floors. More than 14,000 early bird workers had already arrived, a fraction of the 50,000 who worked there. At 8:46 a.m., the plane slammed into the North Tower. Flying at 450 miles per hour, the jet exploded through floors 93 to 99. The earth shook. Debris and flames hurtled from the opposite side of the building. Fire Chief Joseph Pfeiffer was out with a truck and his crew in Lower Manhattan when he heard the plane approach. He looked up and watched the jet smash into the tower. "Everyone, get in the rigs because we're going down there," he said. Inside the tower, an inferno of jet fuel shot down 1,000 feet of elevator shaft to the lobby and lower levels. "I heard a roar," said Police Captain Anthony Whitaker, who had been standing his regular early morning watch at the base of the tower. "I saw a gigantic fireball. I turned and ran." The building suffered horrible damage. People on lower floors could escape down the stairs, but hundreds of others on higher floors were trapped by burning wreckage in ruined stairwells. Many used their cell phones to call for help. 3,000 calls were made to the 911 emergency system in the 10 minutes after the crash. Overloaded circuits made connections difficult. Trapped people were told to wait for help. If it were me, I would be terrified, especially if I was unable to call for help. Chief Pfeiffer and his team marched into the North Tower and sent out his alarm for more firefighters. They and other rescue workers quickly arrived, sirens blaring. Emergency vehicles flooded over Manhattan. Within 17 minutes of the crash, 1,000 fire, police, and rescue workers swarmed the World Trade Center. Many were off duty. They simply reported to the scene when they heard the news. Among the rescue workers arriving at the North Tower was Chief Pfeiffer's brother, Kevin, a lieutenant in the fire department. The two men shared a few moments together. They turned to their duties. The chief remained in the lobby to direct the arriving firefighters. His brother headed for the crash site. Two companies of firefighters were ordered up to the flaming wreckage 90 stories above. They entered a stairwell and began the 1,000-foot vertical climb. Each firefighter carried more than 80 pounds of equipment. Without elevators, it would take more than an hour to reach the impact site. We started up from the ground floor. We would take it 10 floors at a time and catch our breath, said a fire captain. This way we would have some energy to do whatever we were going to do when we got to the upper floors. The fire department's plan wasn't to fight the fire. Firefighting systems in the building were probably damaged and possibly inoperable. So we determined early on that this was going to be strictly a rescue mission. We were going to get people out, and then we were going to get out, said a fire chief. The fire department ordered everyone out of the building. I did not expect that the fire systems were not going to work. A total evacuation had been attempted before. It had never been practiced nor even planned. No one had imagined a catastrophe that would require it. Meanwhile, Captain Whitaker, the police captain who'd earlier dodged the fireball in the lower lobby, ordered a full evacuation of the World Trade Center, the collection of buildings that was home to the Twin Towers. Poor communications and a damaged public address system made it nearly impossible to broadcast the evacuation order. People in the buildings continued to receive mixed messages from emergency operators, and sometimes to stay put and other times to leave immediately. Some people left, others departed and returned. In the North Tower, the fire department even had trouble contacting their firefighters as they climbed the stairs to the impact zone. Their handheld radios barely operated. Making and receiving orders was a hit or miss. High on the 88th floor, Frank DeMartini, the building's construction manager, hadn't heard anything from the rescue operation based in the lobby. He didn't even know about the plane crash. He thought someone had planted a bomb or that a mechanical room had exploded. His office was wrecked. The ceiling had collapsed. Flames licked the walls and smoke filled the air. Dazed people stumbled about. He surveyed the ruins, gathered a team, and went to work. First, DeMartini discovered an open stairway and sent down more than 25 people who had been trapped. Among them was his 89-year-old co-worker, Mo Lipson. My heart was pumping harder than usual, Mo said. Then DeMartini, along with co-worker Pablo Ortiz and others, made their way up to the 89th floor. They found more people trapped by debris and freed them, sending the rescued people down the stairwell. DeMartini and Ortiz continued upward, an unknowable chaos, looking for more trapped survivors. The floors at the crash site were a tangle of burning wreckage. Smoke billowed across lower Manhattan. On the floors above the burning rubble, hundreds of people were trapped. Using phones and email, and voice sometimes calm and other times frantic, they sent the same message. We're stuck. Send help. Police helicopters flew by. People were hanging out of the building, gasping for air, and said a helicopter crew member. There was no way of getting near anyone in a window. We were helpless, totally helpless. Heavy smoke and intense heat from the fire made rescuing people from the roof impossible. Some of the trapped people jumped. Suddenly, a helicopter pilot shouted, "There's a second plane!" Stanley Pramith saw the second jet race straight at his 81st floor office in the South Tower. He dived under his desk, screaming. Everything exploded. Walls and ceilings collapsed. Part of the jet's wing jammed into a door. The overpowering stink of the jet fuel made breathing difficult, but Pramith was alive, the only survivor at the heart of the impact. The second hijacked jetliner had crashed through the 77th to 85th floors of the South Tower. Massive flames spewed from the tower. Wreckage rained down on the street. It was 9:03 a.m. 17 minutes after the strike on the North Tower. People now understood the earlier crash was not a freak accident, but a deliberate attack. Despite the horrific crash, one stairwell in the South Tower remained intact. Unlike the North Tower, people above the crash had the means to escape the street. In the chaos, however, many people would not find it. Firefighters scrambling into the South Tower discovered a working elevator that carried them to the 40th floor. From there, they climbed a stairwell, passing them on the way down or escaping civilians. The lack of panic by the civilians impressed the firefighters. People patted the firefighters' backs and wished them well. In return, the firefighters encouraged them for their long flight down. Why do you think the people were not panicking? Below, one elevator screeched to a halt at the building's main lobby. It had plunged 900 feet before automatic safety brakes stopped it. The riders pried open the doors and escaped. In the North Tower, another elevator sat stalled and locked close at the lobby. It had come to a halt when the plane struck. Chris Young, its lone occupant, knew nothing of the catastrophe around him. Firefighters going up couldn't hear his shouts and marched past him, unaware of his predicament. High above was another trapped elevator. From its intercom, the riders learned that there had been an explosion. The riders forced open the doors and discovered they had stopped in front of a wall. One of the passengers was a window washer. He began scratching the wall with the metal edge of his squeegee to make a hole. I wonder if they will make it out of the elevator safely.